Hello, and this is my review of the brand new KGM Torres EVX. Hello, welcome back to the interface. My name's Alex. This is the brand new KGM Torres EVX. If you haven't heard of KGM before, then you're not alone. It's the new name of South Korean car company SsangYong. They rebranded themselves as KG Mobility back in 2023. The Torres is the first new vehicle under the new brand of KGM. The company has a wide array of SUVs and one pickup truck. All of them are fairly well priced. So what is the Torres? Well, it's quite a large SUV from the company, and it comes in either petrol or EV. We reviewed the petrol version pretty recently. There's a link in the top right corner to check that video out. The pricing for the EVX is around £45,000, and this one you see here is about £47,000 because it's the top spec K40 trim. But that is quite expensive, especially in 2024, especially when you can get a Tesla Model 3 for about £39,000. In terms of the front design, the electric Torres is very different to the petrol version. On the front here, we've got this lovely light bar, which is very futuristic in its design. Got these slats here, which are similar to the petrol version as well. And then this light bar has some very cool animations when you unlock and lock the car, as well as some pretty cool jingles. We also do get a front-facing camera on this K40 trim, which is just located down here. That trim level also does add a power tailgate, blind spot detection, other warning systems which are a bit intrusive in my opinion, leather seats inside, and a 360-degree camera system. For the colours for the Torres EVX, all the options are the same as the petrol version. We do get black, white, grey, silver, blue, and then this green colour. The green's probably the best out of all of them in my opinion, but it would have been nice to see some brighter colour options from KGM. This one has got some roof bars as well. We have got keyless entry as standard on this one, and then we have got 20-inch alloy wheels on the K40 trim, and on the K30 you do get 18-inch wheels. Looking at the back here, we have got this blade design, same as the petrol version. This one is finished in black this time. This causes some problems for visibility. We have got this very small rear window here, but it would have been nice to see a rear window here instead of this blanking plate. And then on the front arch here, we have got the charging port with support for Type 2 charging AC and DC fast charging. In the back of the Torres EVX, there's actually tons of space back here. And one quite unique feature is you can open the boot from the boot. Now that I've clambered out the back of the EVX, we can now look at the rear door. First thing that grabs your attention is this rear design hump here. It's in design reference to old SUVs and old 4x4s where you traditionally have a spare wheel hump. This one doesn't have that, it's just a design piece that KGM have gone for. And this rear door can be, as you've seen, electronically opened. It is upwards opening rather than sideways. We have got the Torres EVX branding down here. The only place the KGM brand is spelled out in letters is down here as well. Nice lot of plastic cladding and some parking sensors. And then like the petrol version, this one can tow up to 1.5 tons. And then to open the boot door, all you need to do is press this button here and it will open up by itself. In the boot, there's actually a decent amount of space. Actually quite impressed with how much space KGM have put in this vehicle. We've got the bag here with the Type 2 charging cable, used for like public AC chargers or your charger at home. By the side of the false floor, there are some storage bins near the wheel arches. We have got a boot light here, and then the little handle I used earlier to open up the boot door itself. And then down here, there is a 12-volt socket. Get this bag out the way here. So underneath here, we can actually prop this up quite cleverly. So if we do that, so if you tuck the false floor down the back of one of the grooves, then you can open up the false floor. We've got a large amount of polystyrene under here, and then there is a bag here with the Type 2 charging cable for the granny charger, the 3-pin at home. We've got a warning triangle with a tyre goop and also what looks like an air compressor as well. The way this is propped up is actually quite clever. So just have to pull this away and then we can tuck it back down there. And then to close the boot door itself, there's a button up here and it will close by itself. Inside the Torres EVX, the interior is pretty much exactly the same. There's only 3 real differences I can spot so far. Firstly, we've got some blue mood lighting on the dashboard here, as well as on the side of the door here. That looks really nice at night time actually. And then we have got some adjustments on the passenger seat here. And then lastly, we have got an EVX badge just there. As I said, the interior is pretty much exactly the same. They've gone for this copper and black theme. So we have got a copper plastic material on the dashboard here and on the central plinth. All the stitching on the steering wheel as well, and the stitching on the seats, and on the stitching on the door as well. The materials they've used are actually pretty good. They look like they'll be hard wearing, but again, like the petrol version, my criticisms come down to the center bit here. We haven't got any buttons for the climate control system. I don't know what KGM were thinking when they decided to do that. I know it's a little bit of a trend now with modern cars, but cars are starting to get back to reality and putting more climate control buttons in there. The reality is that you have to control it all on this touchscreen here. So you have to adjust all the climate control settings there. And if you have got the sat-nav app or the radio, you have got to take your eyes off the road to go down to adjust it, which could be a bit dangerous. The gear selector down here, we've got the same controls here. It is a lot more responsive in this vehicle because it's electric than the petrol version. The petrol one seemed to have a lot of delay getting into reverse and getting to drive. This seems a lot more instantaneous. Got all the controls on the steering wheel here. We've got cruise control, a nice adaptive cruise control as well. Volume controls, you can activate Siri through CarPlay. Speed limiting, you can control all the screen on here, so you can get between efficiency, the trip computer, looking at the widgets as well and getting up the tyre pressure. Lots of information on the screen there, and it's actually really good. There's no buttons at all down here, just a fuse box cover. We've got some controls on the door here. We've got some controls to fold the mirrors in. We've got adjustments for the mirrors, automatic window controls, locking all the doors. We've got child lock for the window controls as well. Then we have got some nice big storage areas down here. And we've got some interesting design on the speakers with the 3D mottling effect. The seats that I'm sat in right now are heated and cooled. They are leather and they are electronically adjustable. There are lots of controls and buttons down here, and you can get the most comfortable position. Just looking down here, we have got a little storage tray. We've got a 120 watt 12 volt socket, and we have got two USB-C ports, one of which is for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and the other one is for charging devices. Like the petrol version, this one does not have wireless Apple CarPlay or wireless Android Auto. We have got a little place to put your phone with a cable pass-through, and we have got two D-shaped cup holders, which, again, like the petrol version, are a bit loose in terms of putting larger cups in there, so your mileage may vary. And if we move my phone out the way, we have got a central armrest with a lot of storage in there, and then we have got a wireless phone charging pad. Just look at the top here, we have got two microphones here, some lighting controls, an SOS button, and we have got some sun visors with a vanity mirror, and there's a decent amount of space. What's quite nice is there is a place to put a parking ticket just in front of the mirror there, which is quite handy. This touchscreen is actually okay. It's got a very matte finish to it, so it is a bit sticky when you try and swipe your fingers on it to adjust certain things. For a full in-depth look at the infotainment system and the driver's display, I've got a video in the top right corner or the description down below where I go over all the settings in depth and how to use the system. Looking at the back of the Torres EVX, there's actually a good amount of space. I've got a decent amount of space underneath the driver's seat for my feet, which is quite good. I've also got a good amount of legroom here, which is not surprising because this is quite a big SUV. There's also some storage in the mat pockets here, so there's a good amount of space back there. These don't open very far, and these are quite hard plastic here. And there is also a phone holder. Would have been nice if these opened up a little bit more. We have also got a central transmission hump, which is carried over from the petrol version, because I think this is sitting on the same platform as the petrol version, so we have got that carried over. There's also two USB-C ports back here, both of which are 27 watts. There's also some rubber-lined cubby holes back there. Also, we have got two-stage heated seats operated from a button here, and that just affects the outer seats only, not for the middle seat. We have also got rear blinds, useful if you're carrying toddlers and kids in the back of the car, and you can make sure they get to sleep quite easily. And then looking in the centre, we have got two cup holders in here, both of which are sort of a D shape, which I'm not entirely sure how larger cups would get on with this. They might fall around all over the place, and there isn't a rear ski hole there. One difference between the petrol and the electric version of the Torres is the electric version has these coat holders. They're in a weird shape, but you can put coats on the back there or prop up an iPad in there if you wanted to. So what's the Torres EVX like to drive? Well, firstly, I'm going to compare it to the petrol version of the Torres, and it is a lot better than that vehicle. The petrol version of the Torres was very busy on the road. The ride wasn't as compliant as this one. The EVX is much, much better. So we've got that front-mounted BYD motor and also the large BYD battery pack, and it performs really well. The acceleration's really good, regen's really powerful, and we have got 3-stage regen as well. We've got level 1, 2 and 3, and then the paddles on the steering wheel, they adjust the amount of regen you do get, and on the petrol version they change what gears you're in. It's quite a nice intuitive system. We haven't exactly got one-pedal driving, but it is a pretty good system nonetheless. One of the major gripes with the Torres Petrol and the Torres EVX are the amount of warning sounds you do get. The electric version seems to have amped this up to another level. We have got a chime every time you enter a new speed limit zone, and also we have got a siren every time we go at least 1 mile an hour over that speed limit. So if you happen to enter a new speed limit, you've got to make sure you slow down before it changes. Otherwise you'll get an annoying siren. So we're in a 40 mile an hour zone now. If I go 41 miles an hour, the thing on the dash will flash and we should hear a siren in a second. There we go. So that's part of a new legislation that new cars have to have now. While it can be turned off in the software, it does turn itself back on every single time you get back in the car, which can be a tad annoying. The other problem is the lack of climate control buttons, so any physical buttons at all. It's all on the touchscreen, and that can create some dangerous situations, I find, in terms of controlling the climate control system while you're driving. I do wish that car manufacturers would stop doing it. I know Hyundai and Kia have started to put some physical buttons back in their cars, but other manufacturers have unfortunately started to reintroduce this touchscreen stuff. So we have got that BYD motor as mentioned, and it really has some solid performance. It's a good amount of power, good amount of takeoff, good amount of torque actually, and the handling isn't too bad either. The petrol version, again, the ride was very floaty. The back end seemed to be in a different time zone to the front end, and it just felt rather loose. This one feels a lot better. It actually feels like this is more of a finished car than the petrol version. So again, nice dab of regen there. It does seem to come on quite nicely. We'll have to predict how much braking you do need, and then we have got a good amount of acceleration from the drivetrain. Let's see how we get on down here. Yeah, seems to hang onto the road pretty well. All the way up to 60, that was pretty quick. Again, it's not a record setter, but it is pretty lively nonetheless. The efficiency is pretty good. We have got a good charging speed, 120 kilowatt, and then over the last 278 miles, I've been getting around 4.1 miles per kilowatt hour. It does seem pretty good. On the motorway, it does seem to drop off a little bit, but not much at all. And then once you enable the air conditioning and the heating system, it does seem to nab you about 10 to 20 miles of range, depending on how much range you do have left. So your mileage may vary with that. Yeah, it's a really well-performing car, really solid acceleration. I don't feel like I'm getting in anyone's way. It does seem to be really smooth in car parks as well, but obviously benefit of an EV. We have also got a few different drive modes, none of which are accessible from a button. You have to do it on the touchscreen. So we've got a drop-down thing here, and if we put it into, what's this one? Comfort mode, and we have also got sport mode. The sport does seem to give you a bit more acceleration, and we have got a different style dashboard here. So let's go into sport mode and up this hill here. Let's see how we get on. Regen's a little bit less aggressive. Oh, that is gripping sticking to the road pretty well here. It does seem to be hanging on pretty well up this hill. Again, it doesn't feel like it's loose, doesn't feel like it's not attached to the roads. Obviously, it's not a performance SUV at all, but it does seem to do a good job around these corners actually. So it's a 50-mile-an-hour corner. Again, not much body roll. It is doing pretty well. So the regen's pretty strong. Let's dab it into here. Yeah. It's doing a good job. The motors don't seem to have the best control when it comes to traction. So if you come to a relatively small stop and then try and accelerate, so we'll demonstrate that just now, we do get a lot of wheel spin. So let's do that now. So I don't know if you heard that there, the tyres squealing. Wow, even at 40 mile an hour getting wheel spin. That's pretty hilarious. It reminds me of the GWM Aura. There's a link in the top right corner to check that video out, but that was pretty lively round some corners and stuff, completely out of junctions. This is hilarious. It's not even in sport, it's in eco, so let's floor it again. No, there's no wheel spin that time, but still, that's pretty funny. So what do I think about the KGM Torres EVX? Well, the ride is substantially better than the petrol version. As I mentioned in that review, the petrol version, the ride was so busy, it was actually quite uncomfortable as well, and the seats were pretty poor. This one, it's a lot better. The ride is a lot softer, the ride is less busy, and it's a lot more easy to drive. The battery from BYD is absolutely superb, and we do have impressive charging speeds, up to 120 kilowatt. And thanks to the BYD motors and drivetrain, it's a very well sorted car in terms of being an electric vehicle. However, the EVX is not perfect. The price tag, in my opinion, is too high for what you get. Some of the software inside is a bit hit or miss, and we don't have any physical buttons for the climate control. However, if you can find a good lease deal on the EVX, then I'll definitely recommend checking it out. The BYD drivetrain and battery do elevate the car's value, in my opinion. If you've enjoyed this type of content, don't forget to subscribe to Interface Cars, like this video if you did. I've been Alex, and I'll see you again next time.